else need to share their screen?
I'll just set security permission so anyone can share their screen.
Thanks. Because that wasn't there earlier.
All right. Welcome to the C4C Gimba Labs token PBL meeting on Friday. We're kicking this off to talk about some funding stuff. So we talked about last time using the events budget and paying that out since we've completed all the requirements for that now. So I think the proposal was to take, I think we've covered 3 events, and to kind of just carve that into thirds and then figure out for each event who gets what. So that's kind of what we need to do. I know there's a spreadsheet for the latest event and maybe previous others that we can take a look at with the stuff done and who did what. And I was thinking today maybe we could do the group Oracle thing and just estimate contribution points or however we want to do it for each one of those. And then maybe we just add them all up, divide by contribution points for each line item, and that's kind of how we divide up the events pot, if that feels good to everybody. And there's other stuff outside of the events specific, and that would be things like creating the forms and the mechanisms and the systems for tracking all this stuff and all of that. And we can take that out of the community
Admin, it's kind of,
yeah, there's another pool for that we've been funded.
it's the lump sum of do it now. Maybe it's the do it now fund. Whoever does it now, gets it done.
Yeah, we have a hub fund, and then we have a community collaboration standards proposal. So the community collaboration standards is also something we can draw from for the meta stuff. Like we've had spreadsheets set up and somebody went through the time to collect all that data and go through it. So we should do that separate from the events. So if we can just focus on the events today, we might be able to just close that out and do that. Does that sound good to everybody?
Perfect.
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Does somebody want to actually bring up that spreadsheet or share a link to it?
1 second.
I just want to ask something quick. These events, they're not what we're going to discuss now. They are not going to be on do work. Eh? We are going to work with the spreadsheet and then pay from this spreadsheet.
I thought we were going to put it practice run, putting the
so we can
work on D work, do a practice run with you. So it goes from the spreadsheet, what we decide, into a D work, and then we automatically say, yes, this has been done. And then from there, set it up so that we start this ball rolling.
Yes.
Is that right?
Correct me if I'm wrong, Nori, but I think we're not quite there yet, right? I think we wanted to start with the Oracle, figure out which tasks have, how do we value them, and how much should people get for those tasks?
Yeah, and once we have that done, then we can go through and put all of those items into DWork just to test the payout process and the collection of that data into the treasury systems. But yeah, you're right. We need to do the estimation first so we know what we're talking about. I am bringing.
So this is the organizer sheet 7. I think if we fill out this one, we should have all the tasks from sheet 6 as well.
Okay, awesome. Let me.
So you don't want to work with the 6 number, like the carbon event, because I thought we were going to clean that one up.
Oh no, that's what I'm saying. If we use the 7 one, we can just copy it over to the 6, to the carbon event.
So is there a reason we're not using the number 6? So
yes, because the 7 one has more tasks than the 6.
Okay, because I see that the 6 is filled in a lot, though. That's the thing that I see on it. And then it's got names and who did what.
Right. I think what we're saying is use 7 to do the estimation, so we know the complexity number for each of the tasks, and then we can go back and
Okay.
like those numbers to the 6 sheet, right, Simon?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
Okay. I'll share the screen. Do we just want to plow through these top to bottom?
Yeah, I think that might be a good way to do it. From top to bottom. I think that's the way we've been doing it, Simon. Is just going from top to bottom. I mean, yeah.
So in this Oracle thing, the idea is that, you know, we all sit there and we do a 1 to 5 on, is that what we're doing? That part?
Yeah.
The difficulty. So an explanation, you're going to give that, what a 5 looks like and what a 1 looks like.
Yeah, we're going to have to agree on that before we go. So that's one of the first tasks. Sorry, I lost the tab. Okay. Is there a column for that yet? Or do we need to create one?
There is one difficulty on the right side. Exactly.
Okay, got it.
I think I labeled it 1 to 5. Do you think? No, I think last time you were talking about 1 to 10.
Well, let me bring up gallery view so I can see you all. So one way we did it at my last job was we did it 1 through 13, and we used Fibonacci numbers. So it's 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13.
Well, you're speaking my heart language. I've been trying to figure this out. So somebody has already done this.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3,
So,
5, 8, 13.
yeah, and a 13 is basically a task that's so big it should be broken up.
Into the other pieces of it.
Yeah.
So 13 is an 8 and a 5, 2 big tasks, or an 8 and 3 and a 1.
Yeah, we used 18 as a signifier, or 13 as a signifier of many, like those certain tribes where they have 1, 2, 3, many as their counting system. 13s are many. And if you do 13, then you're saying that this task is too big to estimate effectively and should be broken up somehow. So that's kind of what we did. And basically, using Zoom, we'd go 1, 2, 3, 8, or 1, 2, 3, 2, and we'd see what people voted. And then there's usually pretty good consensus around the room, but there's always outliers. And then you take the outliers and say, oh, you did 2 Newman and Melanie did a 8, why? And then through that conversation, you kind of triangulate the expectations for that task and get a better understanding. So it's a useful calibration tool as well. So everyone is on the same page.
Great. So there is no 13 basically in this, because I don't know how to do a 13 on my fingers. Do you just do this? Because I know I can do an 8.
Yeah.
But
yeah, that's why 13 signified many. And
so this is 13.
Yeah, we just call this 13 because that's
13.
the next Fibonacci number.
Okay, perfect.
And we use Fibonacci because the difference between a 7 and an 8 is pretty meaningless. But an 8 and a 5 shows a little bit higher complexity.
And 1 is simple.
Yeah.
And 2 is two simple tasks together. 3 is 3 simple tasks about the same value. And then you go up to a 5, which is somewhere in between those simple tasks and something more complicated, a little bit more complicated before the, like, what do you call it? The many? I like that.
Yeah.
This is cool. You've got me on board with this now. Did you know that? You just say Fibonacci and you're going to get me?
Yes, that was very calculated. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But yeah, we use that a lot in our agile estimation stuff.
Fabulous. I'm in.
All right. Does everybody feel good with that? Any questions?
So
Do
the
we-
Fibonacci numbers are 1, 1, 2,
3,
3.
5, 8,
5, 8. Okay.
13.
So
Or-
the math is that each new number adds the last two. The first one is actually a 0, which is a factor of all of them. And the next one is a 1 and 1, 2, but that's beside the point. We'll talk Fibonacci at another time.
Okay. I
Can
got
you
it.
see everybody's face though for this, for responses?
You either do it on screen or through chat is fine too. So if we open up chat, if you want to throw a number in there, that'll work too. But we just have to do it all at the same time so we don't influence each other. Because
Okay.
conformity bias is real. So that's why we want to find those outliers. Okay.
So do we want to, okay, can we just, on this, it starts with column, do we have everything on the screen?
We have the task name description and then the difficulty. Do we need more than that?
I'm just thinking task name, notes, just to squeeze them in, to put the date column a little bit narrower. Processes, what's processes column? Sorry, I'm just,
I don't know.
okay.
It's
we'll
not.
leave that. Okay, I think I can see everything.
Oh yeah, processes was like for documentation and stuff.
Okay.
Ah, good, that makes sense.
Oh, that's
Putting
great.
it together.
Yeah, we can link that to the playbooks and the documents that go into more detail maybe. Okay. So let's move down through the list. So the first one is add event to calendar. It's a simple action to add the date to the shared Google Calendar for C4C.
Sorry, I'm just going through these. You know, I've had this education background, special needs education, and every task has actions to it, right? So is this too complicated to just go through this and say, you know, what does that actually take to put the Google date? You have to be at the meeting to know it.
Yeah, all of this, the estimation should be based on what you think somebody who has the requisite ability to complete the task will do it in. Like if it's going to be somebody who's brand new and they want to jump in and try it, it may take them longer, but we're not estimating for them. We're estimating for the average involved member who has access to our Google Calendar and knows how to log in and all of that. Assume like one of us is going in to do that for the estimation, and then there could be different, like if it's an onboarding kind of a thing, we can multiply it by 2 or 3 or whatever.
By a factor of something like a training one.
Exactly. But
Actually, apprentices, yeah, if you look at that, it takes them longer, but they get paid the same amount as somebody that can do it really quickly. So
yeah.
it is a fair exchange for sure.
Yeah, so for this, I would say don't think about the newbies or anything. Just think about
just
yourself.
shut that part of my brain down. Just
yeah,
decomplicate this.
Yeah, and then often it's good to have example ones to say these are what we think are ones, and this is going to come out of this process. So it gives us a starting point to say this level of complexity or time is about a 1. We'll see those fall out as well. So
can I just for till we get going, I know I'll get into the flow of this, but Newman, tell me what it takes. What do you have to do to add the date to a shared Google Calendar? What do you do?
It's just knowing what the date is, knowing what the Google Calendar is, having access to the Google Calendar, and then putting, finding the right time, putting it in, And then generally it involves a description. So that might be like a blocker. It's just like, okay, what is the, what goes in it? So writing the piece of what is in the calendar.
Can we
is
add one line before this? Because if this all gets done in the Zoom account, it's way easier. So if you set up the Zoom, and I'm sorry for doing this, but if we set up the Zoom with the description in it, and then when you go add to Google Calendar, it does it automatically.
Oh, yeah, I did not know that. The next task is set up the meetup page, and it seems like the meetup description was our higher up towards the well.
Right. So then it's this domino thing, which came first. So it's the meetup description. And then from there you can copy and paste in it, but you also need the Zoom link in the meetup. So
You're right, actually, Melanie. That is, thank you for that. I didn't think about that, but you actually have to do it through the Zoom account, right?
Well, then it makes it easy, because then it's all connected. But for sure, to make it easier is going to be the description. And this description for the meetup comes from where? From our meeting.
Well, would it be from the Zoom account as well? I mean, we just have sort of
Our
like
description of the meetup comes from our event planning.
Yeah, assume all of that is provided for this task to estimate.
Yeah.
This is actually just going into Zoom, creating the calendar.
So please, when we go, whoever goes back to this document, do this, what we just did, go back to these tasks that we just discovered. Because otherwise we'll be here a long time, and that's for sure. So let's assume then that the meetup description's done. It's in the, so this task actually is not a task other than the Zoom. It's more connected to the Zoom account at this point. It's just a saved document.
Mm-hmm.
Or save the date. So it would be a 1 if this was just the task by itself. But because it's connected to the Zoom, it's something different. Nori, are you kind of glad that I didn't work with you in years past?
No, this is all good. It's good to get into the questions, but yeah, right now we're really just trying to get some sizing estimations and have conversations if estimation expectations are different. And then that'll give us a basis for filling in the effort stuff.
So in a way, this is almost a 13 that we have to leave it and break it down into the other tasks. Is that right?
No, for each task, assume everything you need to have the task done is already available through a different previous task or other activities. So assume that what you need to complete the task is provided or you have it. That's the way to encapsulate a task, so you don't think about all the other stuff. Assume those are other tasks that we're going to cover.
You're asking me the impossible, not to think about the.
You can think about them, but for the estimation, this is just for what's stated as the task. Okay, so let's try the estimation. Do a 1 to 13. This is 13. And we'll do a countdown. And then I'll do 1, 2, 3, and you just put a number up. So ready? 1, 2, 3.
The one looks like
1.
Yeah.
All right. We'll go with 1. The next one is set up the meetup page. It says slide deck title page is the meetup graphic. Assume the graphic is provided. Slide decks therefore need to be done before this one. So assume the slide deck is done. Meetup direct description is provided, and you create the, so it's basically just creating the meetup page. Any questions?
No.
Okay, 3, 2, 1. Another one. So this is good. Having a set of 1s available gives us a calibration point on what we think a minimal amount of work is for a task.
Yeah.
Save the date marketing blast. announce the date, announcements in Telegram.
There's two that, oh no, sorry, announce the date, announcements in Telegram.
Yeah.
The description might need a little bit more work in this one. Save the date marketing blast. It's sort of part of the marketing team, and it would be, I mean, it could be as simple as, hey, there's a new meeting. This is the date.
There could be graphics involved in it, something catchy. Okay, I think
Is it just Telegram though? Do we announce it on all our channels?
Yeah, all the channels.
social
Yeah,
media, so it should be on social media.
yeah, you could type that in the notes, maybe.
Got it. So add a Discord, Twitter, etc.
And is this a single event or is it over a period of time, like a 3-day blitz, or is it a single event per event?
Well, yeah, we're sort of assuming that it's just a single day event.
So
Yeah.
this would be a single, basically a single announcement of across our social media. So a single announcement, no matter what it is, across our social media. Everything is provided. You've got the image, you've got the description, and all it is announcing it. Okay.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Is this save the day marketing blast? Is this creating the marketing blast, or just
It's
doing
just
it?
the blast itself.
Okay.
So again, everything else
I
is
just-
done
it's
up to
provided,
that point.
yeah.
So this is the action of copying and pasting and putting it on the social media. A single time on Discord, Twitter, and Telegram. Got it.
That's
Okay.
how I understood it as well, yeah.
Okay.
And the material is provided.
Yes.
Yeah, and we can go to these tasks and do subtasks after that, like
Yeah,
figure out the interrelationship. This is really excellent. So
All right. Everybody ready? All right. 3, 2, 1. All right. We have 3s and 1s.
Yeah. I
And
think it's a 3 because it involves all the different media challenges. The other ones were just the calendar and the meetup. So you do have to know what all of those are, and it's a little bit more involved. Whereas one is a 15-minute task. This is, an hour or more as you track down all the accounts and post them.
interesting, because copy and paste for me in Telegram, Discord, and Twitter goes quite quick. So there's something going on that we could maybe come in between, somewhere in between, because as long as the material's all there, then we can do it
I feel like
Yeah.
it
quicker.
takes about the same time and effort as it does with the other two. So that's why I voted for one.
Yep. I mean, I can see those points, but it does. I mean, do you see that it's because there's 5 or so more, and then like Discord do you put it on all the partner posts?
So there's an announcement channel in C4C that will, and when you publish that, it goes to everybody that's following C4C. There's also the meeting channel which is internal, and you can put at everybody, and then that would do the announcement there. So all you would do is have the copy and paste with an image, at everybody in the meetings. If you want to publish it to everybody following us, then you go into the announcements. This is really good, actually, because it's been stuff that I've been doing for a long time, and I haven't even thought to say, this is how you do it.
that's
And
good
then
for
Twitter
recording.
Twitter is going to be a little bit different, though. So Twitter almost needs to be a separate one, because there's a restriction on the characters, right? So Twitter has to be a separate one.
It can be the same one because we're assuming the description is
It's going to do it all. So
provided.
then it would go up to a 2 for me because of the complication in the Twitter. The other thing is in Discord, if you end up with all these different links, you just have to click on them and say delete embeds, and then the message looks nicer.
Yeah.
So
But-
I'm going to go up to a 2, but three is a, if it's already done and it's a copy and paste with some, then I'm going to say it's a 2.
So
I can agree.
I feel like when I'm putting something on Discord or somewhere and then I put it on Twitter, I can mostly reuse the text and just make it smaller, maybe
Mhm.
add some.
So there's a
words
slight,
in
it's
there.
not just a copy and paste or a press a button,
Yeah, it's-
but there is some editing. So I'm saying 2. Newman, how do you feel about that?
That's fine. I think a 2 is good. It's just it is different than the other ones that we've had. So yeah, I think a 2 is good.
And maybe this shows where we have issues with um, um, like my cut and paste,
Mhm.
you know, my screenshots and stuff. You taught me how to do it faster. Miro,
Yes, but I think actually is a point who is writing the text. It's not problem in copy paste.
that's
Yeah.
the before. That happens before, and we're
Okay.
recognizing that
Yeah, we'll
These-
create there's be another task or another action for those.
there's a
And
backstory to each one
Wait,
of
but-
these.
But if the writing is not included in the task, then
then it's definitely a 1 or 2. Yeah.
So that's the backstory.
I feel very strongly that then it should be a 1.
Okay.
I'm gonna say a 2 just because of the editing, and there's a few more things.
Yeah, but the editing we just said is done before, right?
No,
I-
no, for Twitter, you got to do it for Twitter. You're taking out embeds. You're going across 3 different platforms. It's not a
Oh,
1.
Well, what I'm
Slightly
saying,
more complicated than a 1.
yeah, I like the idea that the Twitter, that basically the person who does this job it'll say, here's the Discord stuff and where it goes, and here's the Twitter and where
Here's
it goes.
how to do it, how to take the embeds out,
So-
add everybody, yeah.
And then in that case, then like my grandfather. Well, no, I won't say what my grandfather would say. But yeah, it's a simple task. It's just one. It's just a 1.
Okay. Yeah, and we are recording all this as we talk about it. So this is going to
Mm-hmm.
be excellent material to just walk through this and capture this into the process side and maybe create documentation or just video clips on some of this for each of these pieces. I think that's good.
Sure.
And yeah, if we assume that the Discord description, the images, the Twitter description is all provided, I would be okay with a 1 as well. Because I think a 1 kind of is that kind of, for me, 1 to
I'm still a
power.
2. I'm still a 2 because it's not as simple as just copy and paste, because there is more work involved in it. So I'm gonna stick with a 2.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I can. Yeah, I can see where it's different than add the event to the calendar because of the calendar and the meetup page, because they're just single things. You don't have to switch operating systems, and that does increase the complexity, in my opinion.
So what happens when
I
we,
don't have to switch operating systems to.
Well, you have to go from like Google and in the calendar, and that's a different form. Then you have to go to Twitter, and that's a different form. Then you have to go to Discord, that's a different format, different form, different people, different sort of stuff. That's my point.
But if I have a text and I'm copying it into 3 platforms, it takes me like 3 minutes.
Yeah.
so if we don't agree on this, Nori, can we come back to it?
We just
After-
take the average and round. So if there's 3 1s and a 2, then it's a 1.
Okay,
And
so
we
what is it? What's a
1?
vote on this one then?
Everybody put up.
I'm feeling like a 1 now too, so.
Yeah, let's do
Simon-
it. Let's do 1.
Yeah.
Simon convinces. Simon convinces. All right.
And none of
We
this is written
we
in
had a good
stone.
debate on that one.
If we do it over a couple of events and we go, wow, this is actually really hard, it's not a 1, then we can go back and change it. So
Yeah,
nothing's
perfect.
written in stone here. Okay, next one. Set up
Okay.
template in G Drive. Iterate on the template from last event. Copy the event template and replace the links in the organizer sheet. Any questions or?
So is this just copying the folder and then updating the links? Is that the idea? changing the dates on the slide that say sustainability event and the date, like how much is it? Just if it's just copying, oh man, there's a lot of backstory to this one.
Yeah, so actually, yeah, I think we need to get an oh no, we have another task for that. It's the updated organizer sheet, which has to be done before this one. So the
Yeah,
set
so
of
let's-
templates, it's not that hard. It's just copying the folder and then going into the organizer sheet and replacing the links in the first page.
Once you have all those links and everything else has been done, you just have that list, you know where they are, they're done. So it is going up. Okay. So there's a little bit. And then also right now we have a slide deck image. Does that get changed at this time now with the date, name, anything like that or not? Or is that something separate?
No, I think that I would put that into this create slide deck task.
Because you're just talking about copying and pasting the folder, which includes, and it's just a folder. It's got the organizer sheet, other forms, the slide deck from the previous event,
Yeah,
copying it over and updating the links.
Updating the organizer sheet because it's it helps with working with the organizer sheet and people can coordinate with the organizer sheet then. But the slides, upgrading the slides, you can do that. I don't know, maybe a week or two before the event. But if you can work 25 days or like a month before the event with the organizer sheet, we're not going to have all the information.
Good. So this doesn't have to do with the slide deck. Sorry. You're only updating the links on the templates. Okay. Okay.
All right. Any other questions before we vote? No? You okay, Newman? You seem a little...
Yeah. I mean, that's yeah, I'm curious because if you're just copying over the folder, then I think it's a very simple task.
You have to dig into it though and find the links and know where they are.
But I think that's in another tab. I think that's this maybe this next one, row 6, update the organizer sheet. Is that what you were thinking, Simon?
Is it any more complicated than the announce the date one?
Yeah, I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm struggling. At first I was at a 3 because I was doing it myself probably. And when you do it yourself, it's always a bit harder.
Well, because you don't realize what you need, and then you've got to hunt those down. But I think in doing this exercise, we're recognizing the material that the links, the information, the descriptions that we need in advance, and having those accessible to everybody makes our jobs easier.
Yeah.
Right. If you have to create them yourselves, if you're doing that announcement and you're recreating that description every time, wow, we're doing extra work.
Yeah.
So,
and this is a great process because it identifies the prerequisites for each task. And so we know when we're missing something that we're just assuming that they're there and nobody actually is really seeing it as a task to do. Those are really great things to pull out.
And we're also seeing our inefficiencies and how we can improve them, which is like, wow, this is beautiful. Okay, I'm ready to vote.
You ready to vote, and Simon?
Yeah, I can vote.
Okay, let's go. 1, 2, 3. 2, 2, 2, 1.
So there's more to it that I don't know about. Like how many links are in the document? Are there lots?
Maybe Nori, can you go to the first page to be
Yeah. The meetup link, because we're gonna need to create all of those.
The meetup link is going to be on it's already figured out. So the link to the slide deck already going to be there. What other links do you have to update?
Actually, all of the ones that you see, Impact Fest, social media post, and really all of them.
Okay, so you're adding the links into what the posts were. So somebody's going to be doing those posts, the social media. So this is good to know what the expectation is.
This
So you're,
is collecting all of those and putting them in here. So you're doing a little bit of knowledge gathering or information gathering from the different places.
so in fact, this is going to be the directory where we go to find everything that we need to do the
Yeah,
posts and everything.
in theory, in concept, that's what this would be. This would be a spot to put resources for events in
It's
general.
the directory.
It's a directory, yeah.
So you need to know where the meetup link is. You go to this page. You need to know
Right.
where the save the date announcement is. You go to this page.
Right.
So this one is the first activity. This is an ongoing process though, right? Where you have to update this on an ongoing basis as soon as something new comes in.
Right. Yeah, that's the question. Yeah. And just to rephrase what you said, Melanie, is this something that's just copied and then when does it get updated with the latest stuff? Is it just templated and it's over, or does it have?
So that template part is a one, but the ongoing updating it throughout the event is going to be a bigger process. This is almost like a role, somebody that's actually taking this on.
Yeah, this is
And
a
that's-
project management role. Really, traditionally, this is what a project manager would do. Is
And-
this kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it feels like that's the next row. Update organizer sheet. Insert the new links and information for this event. But we're on 5. Set up template in G Drive, and we.
So if it's just a copy and a paste, it's a 1. If it's each time we update it, then it's probably a 1 or a 2, depending on how much we do. So it's an ongoing process.
Yeah. Okay.
So the copy and the paste is one activity. The updating it is another one.
Yeah.
Is it possible to separate those two, or am I making it? Because each time you go into it to update it is a.
Right.
Could we, I wonder in the interest of time, if we could flag things for conversation and just sort of like quickly vote. Is that a thing that happens?
Yeah, another option is to combine these two rows and say you do the copy of the template, do the links, and that's part of, like, if it's, imagine that one person would always do both of these, and it's less than a 13, we can combine them.
Okay, perfect. So it's but it's considered the whole job. It's a job, not a task.
It is a task because it has a definite start and an end date.
Okay, but it's ongoing. It's not a single.
No, yeah, it
action.
can happen over multiple days, or
Okay.
even the people who do, like, if you create the meetup, maybe to be nice, you can put that link into the sheet if it's already created.
Right.
And then the person just is responsible to say, hey, did you put it in? Or what is the link? And I'll put it in.
Okay, so that changes it, because this is a responsibility.
Yes.
Almost, yeah. Okay,
So,
and it's a huge benefit. Like, this is a valuable resource. Okay, ready to revote?
ready?
So can you just color code them together?
Yeah, I can do that.
You know me and color codes.
All right, ready to vote?
Wait, what are we, for the merge, for the new merged?
It's more like a responsibility. You're in charge of keeping the directory up to date.
Yeah.
Creating it and updating it, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Ready? Okay. 1, 2, 3. 3, 3, 3, 2, 2.
Okay, why would you suggest Miro and Simon it's less than a 3? Oh, or
I mean, it's still, I think it's really close, to be honest. I would be okay with the 3 as well.
Miro, you okay with the 3 just to get
No,
going?
no, okay, 3 is also okay, but like you said before, for some people it will take it quickly. You will do the job, But for some, you know, so it's okay. 3 is also okay.
I can,
It's connecting, it's communicating, it's knowing where this is. It
Yeah.
does take engagement, which is something that you don't often measure. So I believe a 3 works. Okay.
I think for you know, finding the links, it's not so hard. It might, I mean, it takes maybe longer than the other tasks, but finding the links is not so hard. Just the responsibility part, I can totally see how that would make it a 3. And
You're
having
involved,
to
you're
think about it,
engaged, and
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
the
you-
activities.
and over
Again,
the link,
committed. You're also committed to all this stuff, huh?
yeah, it's a commitment for the length and duration of the event, which is basically a month before and a few weeks after as we collect everything. So it's like a 6-week commitment.
Yeah, I think that makes sense as a 3 because some of these other tasks, you just kind of do it and you forget it. This one, that somebody's going to have to track it and keep it in mind for a
You
period.
got me, guys.
So in looking at the time, is it possible to actually work with what we have and practice with the D work and then go into, because if we go through this whole list, I think we're going to be here for about 4 or 5 hours at this rate. Is it possible to just work with a sample? I've done this in production before.
Mhm.
You know, you don't want to work on 250 samples and then find out that you should have been doing it a lot better by the time you get to the D work.
So we want to pick out a D work task or?
Or
Yes, not all tasks, I think, will go into D-work. How I'm seeing it, it's some of the tasks
I'll be
will
right back.
be added to roles, or so one role contains multiple of those tasks, and then some tasks, they're rather free. You can put it onto D-work, and if anyone picks them up from the community, that's cool. If not, someone from the team can pick it up.
Yeah, so there is one that I see, announce the date. This is basically
Which row?
row 4. There's 1 or 2 of these that we could do are as, you know, we could go into the D work example and figure that out. Because this was something that I was hoping we would really get started. Yeah, and Simon, you have to leave, so it would be good timing to go into the D work.
And so with that being said, so then basically we would create a D-work task for set up the meetup page.
Slide deck title page. Announce. So go ahead, Newman.
Well, just an idea or just thought that it just seems like such a small thing for D work. It's like almost too small, like to set up the meetup page.
Let's just do it as an example and figure out how we can do it. And you know, as long as we go through this, it's definitely production. If we go through this process, we may find out that we need to do something else.
Although save the date marketing blast actually might be a really good D-work task because it could be multiple people that just amplify. You know, it's just like if you have Twitter, then you know, post this on the save the date. And that way we ping the whole network and we can say, oh yeah, 10 gimbals to.
We could also set this up as a number one difficulty task, as a D work, as a template for everything that is. But using this as an example. So just have this as a test bounty for a difficulty 1 task. And we're using this as an example and we're, you know, describing what it is in the D work. And then we go and we accept it. We allow, we put it into our D work. Then Miro and Andre take it and pay out, maybe even back to our account just as a test run. But I'm thinking we need to go through 1 sample all the way to the end to see if it'll work, see how it works.
We do have D-work tests that are already completed that we over the past couple of months that we can do the path through.
Miro, sorry.
Yes, I think, guys, that it's good that actually we avoid this payments 10 gimbals for task, because fee of ADA is 1.34. So actually, I think it's good that we have tasks, at least 50 gimbals for something.
Okay,
If you make
okay.
10 people only 10 gimbals, mamma mia, you will have
Yeah.
lots of costs,
Right.
with
Yeah,
sending that.
but we will add these up and maybe only pay out once a month. So somebody could have a bunch of small tasks and then they add up
Okay,
to.
okay.
We're not going to pay each one of these tasks individually. We'll consolidate them on a monthly basis or something like that.
And make those, so this is it, like if we went through this is one of the issues at the end, if we're paying out
But
individual ones,
Yeah,
that would
but
be a
still-
problem. Go ahead.
we will still have a situation if, for example, 10 people will do small tasks. So you must actually pay 10 people and you must actually add 1.34. If you
So
want
the thing
person-
is that we
but
could have a
if one person-
stipulation on there that, it's like, I hate to bring this up, but you go to a grocery store and you want to use your credit card, they tell you you've got to have a $5 minimum purchase. So maybe the payouts, we could have this stipulation that says, in order to avoid excessive fees, this is what we're required to do. And then it'll encourage people to do
Yeah.
more. And it could also be a test run for somebody and they never come back and do it again.
Yeah.
And
And
But
maybe
then
so-
you will need, yeah, okay, we can do that actually. We will need, we will do some, yeah, we'll figure out how we will do that actually. Because if you have 10 persons who will do small tasks, and so we must calculate, okay, this guy was doing 10 gimbals and another 10 gimbals, so we must,
And
Yeah.
everything.
Tiva's system takes one guy's name and he takes all the tasks he did and puts it together.
Yes.
and
So when you
totals them
export
up.
the sheet, yes.
And then at some point it'll trigger a payment when you see that it, right? You'll
No,
see
that's
that.
the other
Actually, when
thing. You guys will need to review the tasks in D-Work and then add a label that says audited. Then we know,
Yes.
okay, these tasks can be paid. If it doesn't have
But
the tag, we can't pay them.
We can show you that later, yeah.
So
Yeah.
Nori, what are you thinking here?
I think, yeah, we can do some of the test payouts and stuff from the tasks that we've already completed and stuff. The difficulty with the events is we don't know how much we're paying for each difficulty point. We have to add them all up and divide by 1/3 of the fund for an event. And then whatever that is, that's what a difficulty point will pay out for that event. Because that's all the ADA we have, so we need to divide it evenly. And I think that exercise will give us a good idea of how much effort points each event will be based on its complexity and things like that. But
So I'm feeling like we're getting into really detail on this one. Is it possible to just look at who was involved in order to get payouts going or not? And just sort of come to some kind of consent on what people appear to have, like a lump.
Yeah, that's harder to explain. If we're moving in this direction, my hope is that we'll be able to take these and say, oh, look at, there's 3 ones here, and really one person always does all 3 of those. And we can combine that into a role responsibility and say, here's what it is, and here's the difficulty point. But we need to go through and figure out what happened. And so I love that we have all the tasks here. We just need to go through and grind through all the estimation. And then we have a really good basis for collapsing things and building on top of it. The other thing we could do is if we want to start spending money, then I think we also need to talk about the kind of the working team UBI kind of stuff where it's not really task-based, but it encompasses like you're just engaged in doing stuff over time. But I think since we have this, it would be good to just focus on the tasks and get through them all. There's no rush to get payouts out. aside from the one thing that we probably should do sooner than later is the room hosts, since we did promise them some kind of remuneration for that.
Yeah, because I feel like this feels like a 5-8 hour job of slugging away at this, and
yes,
I'm kind of losing my
Maybe, yeah, maybe we can
Andre.
do this asynchronously somehow. Like
That would be
anonymous
great if we could
voting.
vote through it somehow. Maybe make our own copy. Gimbal Labs did this on the allocation of the Gimbal tokens.
Yep.
We made a copy of this and that we went through, and maybe each time you do a vote, put a comment on it, and
Yeah.
then that would help. I'd be really happy with that and slugging through it.
Okay.
The
why don't we do that?
conversation around these is really good, though. That's the problem.
Yeah, so why don't we do that? And then if there are outliers where some people are ones and other people's are fives, then we can talk about
Pick
those
those
in
ones.
separate meetings and focus and really hammer it out. But if things are lining up fairly close, then we can take the average and do that and work on that over the next few days.
And then going through these lists too, I may go in and edit the actual descriptions and notes on my own. Is that going to be an issue?
No, not at all.
Because then I can get my thoughts down as I go,
Yeah.
and maybe even kind of create another sheet that reorganizes things a little differently
Yeah,
due to
please.
back thing. So in payouts, the one thing that I was thinking about is this Ikigai. And talking to Newman yesterday, you were talking about, you're here and working. Newman, I see, is coming into this huge admin and grabbing and doing a whole bunch of stuff that makes our life easier. And I know in my head I have a need to get paid out what would keep me feeling balanced in my work with C4C. And it has to do with 987 ADA per month, if possible, if we have enough. And my goal, my why is because I hope to have a legacy, and maybe that goes on beyond in some sort of Fibonacci reduced sequence into the future after I don't contribute anymore or stop or move something. That's sort of an idea that I have, and I'm being very vulnerable and out there with that. But if we all said what our need is, Nori's need is going to be way different than my needs. Newman's needs are going to be different. Andre, Miro, our needs are going to be different, and maybe we could come to figure out as a community. And then the need, what do we do? What is that 987 ADA worth? Well, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing, the connecting, the jumping, the, popping in wherever I do. Do I expect to get paid for other things? Maybe, if they're really, like Impact Fest was a lot, but that was something I took on myself. But say maybe I jump into, somebody gets sick and I jump into the role of event planning, then there's a extra bonus because it takes more. What can the community afford? And then as a group, do we come to consent on our numbers?
Mhm.
This is just thoughts that I had, and I don't know if it would work. And then also the community value. Do we value this work? Well, obviously I value what Newman's doing. Hopefully people value what I'm doing, even though sometimes I go off track and make more work.
Yeah, the idea that the community, and this is, I'm looking for my notes. All my notes like ran away from me this morning. But this concept of that we pay value into the community, we make a commitment. There's a commitment between the community and the individual, and that the value goes back and forth, and we give value in terms of time, attention, participation, engagement, and that the community in its treasury literally pays us in ADA and etc. There are other exchanges, we get value from, being around, seeing beautiful smiling faces, being happy. I mean, Miro, every time I see him, I want to give him, there's an exchange of happiness each time I see him.
Maybe there's also going to be something like NFTs, where you're an event host and you get it, down the road. Oh,
And,
Simon, you're still here.
Yeah, go ahead, Simon.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for the meeting. I think that was I think it was really great from my view because, you know, Newman and I, we created this whole sheet, and it's really interesting to see what you guys think about it, and you know, what I missed or what I could add to that. So I would really love to have another meeting like this. If you guys want to do it asynchronously, I mean, that's okay, of course as well. But yeah, I mean, I just wanted to say
We're gonna
I would
do
really love
both,
to have another
Simon.
meeting like that.
We're
And
gonna
thank
do.
you for
we're gonna-
taking this up and working with me there.
Mhm.
Sorry, Melanie.
We're gonna do both. We're gonna do asynchronistically and come back together and discuss the ones that aren't so simple.
Perfect.
So as homework, if everyone could copy the sheet, put in all your numbers and then share them maybe on the GTPBL Telegram, and then we'll put them all together. I can put them all together side by side and we can compare and have the talking points for next time. I do
great. And
also have a hard stop at 9 because it's my son's birthday today and I'm going to make him a nice breakfast.
I should be at the meetup
Nice.
already.
Okay.
But it's really that's why I'm still here. It's really great, and thank you, Nori, also for you know, taking over and yeah, just guiding us through this process.
Happy to.
Really appreciate it.
It gets faster and faster as people get used to doing it. So the first few times it takes a while, but then hopefully it'll get faster and faster as we have new tasks and stuff.